What is up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I hope that you have enjoyed your day. You know, Kamala Harris keeps popping up in my feeds. I don't know if this is like an MK Ultra algorithm election strategy where they're like, I think demographically you're black, so I'm gonna just flood you with a bunch of Kamala Harris stuff. But I'm getting different perspectives, so that's a good thing, right? And, I've seen people on the conservative side try to demonize her past, kind of frame her as some, woman that sleeps her way up to the top, right? And then you have the Democrats really trying to play the black card with Kamala Harris. And because black people have rejected that, now they're trying to figure out an alternative strategy to target black people, but, still, kind of downplay the fact that Kamala Harris, she is really not a foundational black American. She doesn't come from the sort of the ancestry of foundational black Americans, right? And so, the Democrats always do this. And I think this is where, overplaying your cards repetitively time after time after time because you think people are so stupid that they're just going to keep falling for the old okey doke because your propaganda machine has, told them that they should. And the one thing I will, sort of give credit to the conservative side is just finally calling the Democrats out about this boldly. And obviously they needed the black conservatives to do that, right? The Democrats have constantly leveraged black Americans, black struggles, black identities in very creative ways to target black people and their sensibilities and even sort of program our mindset about blackness. So I think, with Kamala Harris, she is sort of getting that non-Negro wake-up call that black people are not falling for the okie doke anymore. We're tired of the Democrats propping these ambiguous mixed race people, and no shade to mixed race people at all, but I think there's this show, and I want to say it was the show 24, and they had a black man as the president, this brown skinned just handsome brother as a president, right? And there was no, now he might have not been black, like foundational black American. He could have been an immigrant, but obviously they were portraying him as a black man. And, it's one of those things where, just if people are about accept people for who they are, right? Then you should sell people for who they are. And see, what I have a problem with Democrats is they're always trying to prop people who are playing chameleon roles, people who try to take on the persona of someone else. And this is not just their black puppets who placate into the black stereotypes. It's also the other Democrat surrogates. So I was looking at I happened to catch a guy in my Twitter feeds, and he's talking about Josh Shapiro. And he's like, when people say that, Shapiro sounds like a Jewish Obama, he said, I did not know how literal that was. So I'm like, all right, so let me hear what this guy sounds like, right?
You know why that is.
And so,
again, you could not have a clear contrast in this race. You could not have a clear contrast.
So he has definitely some
Trump.
cadence of
Let me
Obama.
tell you something. He's pretty afraid. Y'all see, he's backing out of the debate now. He's afraid to stand toe-to-toe with our vice president. And you know why that is? It's not just because she's a skilled debater. It's not just because she's got the right positions on the issues that matter most to the good people of Pennsylvania and this country. It's because he can't run away from his record any longer.
Yeah.
Think about it.
All
4
right,
years
so
as president.
I'm going to stop it there. And I definitely hear the Obama voice, the cadence. And I'm like, oh, okay, I will buy this if this is a consistent way this guy is. So I went on YouTube and I looked him up. And so I went to another YouTube video of this guy. And I want to make sure, because I get people's names wrong
on a major
all
fundraising
the time. Just, you see what I did to that poor woman. And I apologize again. But I want to make sure. So this is Shapiro, right? And this is him talking. This is a
Really
news
honored
event.
to receive a call from President Biden just a few moments after he made the announcement that he was dropping out of the race and endorsing the vice president. Vice President called me just a few moments after that. I quickly offered her my endorsement. We spoke only about that, and we have not spoken since.
Can you say, we know that tomorrow you're going to be holding an event in Carlisle for her, as well as on Monday with Governor Whitmer from Michigan. Can you tell us anything?
You know my schedule very nicely.
Can you tell us anything more about what these events will entail?
I can't, but I can just, not because I'm unwilling to, but because I just don't know the details of the events, other than I'm going to stand up and speak very forcefully in support of Vice President Harris and talk about the clear contrast in this race between she and Donald Trump.
Okay, so that delivery was less Obama-like, I gotta say. Very less Obama-like there. So, and there's other clips of him sounding less Obama-like. And again, I feel like people just have identity crises all the way around. People have identity crises. Now, here's the thing. I am not against interracial dating. I think people should love who makes them happy, love who will partner well with them, right? And I've interracially dated myself. But, it's one of those things where when you're talking about, Kamala Harris as this HBCU, right, seeming to be portraying more of a Black, affiliation or affinity for the Black culture, because she doesn't come off Indian to me, right? I don't see her, and she's a businesswoman, obviously, but I don't really see a lot of traditionalism on the Indian side from Kamala Harris. And maybe it is there when she behind closed doors, but I don't see that traditionalism. It seems like she has more of an affinity to the Black American culture, not even Jamaican culture. I don't really see too much. The only thing that she talked about with Jamaican culture is weed, and Jamaican culture is way more than weed. But it seems like to me she gravitates specifically to the Black American culture. And this is where people like Kamala Harris, they understand, that they're going to be propped to appeal to specifically Black Americans, specifically to us. They're going to have to placate like they're one of us. And this is where the Kendrick Lamar track really becomes eye-opening if you really have discernment. There are a lot of people running around, these puppets, these tokens, Black-looking people who are not foundational Black Americans. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you sound like a white nationalist, or you sound like the white nationalists do. And here's the thing. From the perspective of whatever idea of culture the white nationalists feel like they have, whatever preservation of values and thought they feel like they want to preserve in their bloodlines, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that, right? There are some people who don't want to mix bloodlines. They don't want to taint their race, right? Because they want to preserve as pure of a cultural idea, of their family as they possibly can. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think where mindsets of preserving bloodlines become, problematic is when you add the supremacy element to it. When you start adding supremacy to preserving your bloodlines, that is when it becomes problematic, right? But off that, I think that what a lot of Black Americans are looking at is the fact that there's really, outside of her affiliation with HBCUs, right? There's really nothing Black culture seemingly about Kamala Harris, because she doesn't seem to be immersed as a, like really authentically Black American woman. And I think Black Americans were smart enough to peep the ops. And not saying that she is detrimental to Black Americans, not saying that there's anything wrong with her wanting to immerse herself in Black American culture, but don't allow this liberal media to sell you as a Black woman and the first Black woman this when you clearly are not. And I think that they just really got to stop using race as a card to sell people and really sell the person organically on their core intelligence. And speaking of intelligence, here we go. Trump says, he placates into the mindsets of Black people sometimes that white supremacists have. So obviously, he's saying that Kamala Harris has a low IQ. Now, I don't know what that woman's IQ level is, because I don't care if you go to Harvard. I think intelligence really can be measured on so many different things, right? Emotional intelligence, to me, is the highest form of intelligence that someone can have, right? Because it opens the door to sound reasoning, right? And when you have sound reasoning, then that information, the knowledge that you are taking in, right, you can know what to do with that knowledge, how to apply that knowledge. And that is real intelligence. And, I would say that if you are playing the puppet role, you're essentially a dummy. And a dummy is not intelligent. So we can say that Joe Biden was not intelligent at all. But yet, I think that Trump will pick all kinds of other things to say about Biden, but he's going to play that intelligence card for the person perceived as Black, Kamala Harris. So I see how the rhetoric is being played on both sides that tend to perpetuate idealisms about Black people in some way. But, Democrats love passing ambiguous looking, Black looking people off as Black people so that they can leverage them. And some of these people may have an interest in Black culture without having a real loyalty to Black culture and Black people. And I look at Kamala Harris. She's from California, I believe, or she's kind of been around the California area. And I look at, the women like her, right? She kind of reminds me of Meghan Markle, right? Women like Kamala Harris, they're not going to, if they're ambitious, right? Like Meghan Markle and Kamala Harris, if they are ambitious, right? They are not going to date anything but, or marry anything but a man that they perceive is going to help further their ambitions in some way. And, unfortunately in America, because of all the stigmas and even some of the systemic factors set up, right? A lot of people, when you're looking at the beacons of success, of a successful man, unfortunately, you're not thinking a Black man. Even though there are plenty of CEOs and successful Black men in the private and public sector, the media, the narrations of Black people really don't set people up to think, Black men being the epitome of power and success. And so you have women like Kamala Harris, and you have people like Meghan Markle, Candace Owens, right? She's in there too, right? These women didn't grab white and Jewish men because they just were so in love. Candace wanted to say, I married my intellectual match. I doubt it, right? She specifically did not want to marry a Black man, in my opinion, because people like Candace Owens don't really like the notion that they're associated with Blackness. Like I'm pretty sure she can't stand the fact that she's not Meghan Markle's or Kamala Harris complexion. That girl probably just hate all that melanin in her skin with a passion. She's like, my kids will not have this melanin. I'm going to marry the whitest thing I can find. And to the point of Tommy Sotomayor, right? He did have a valid point with some of these black women specifically going after white men. They look at white men as more successful than black men. They look at white men as their ticket to living a stable life, and they look at white men as a way to have attractive kids, in society. Because as I said in another video, when you're looking for your token black, a lot of times in these corporations, the biracial ones are usually the first picks. So that's, and you can kind of see that how the Democrats move. They want the biracial, ambiguous looking black people, right? You see it all over. Drake, Doja Cat, these ambiguous looking black people, they get very, very far ahead because a lot of times people are centering on their other side, even though they are still tied to the black side as well. And this may seem like a complicated conversation that I'm having, right? But this is valid. Like, I go into the complicated social psychology type of conversations because I don't think people realize how much psychology is playing here. Natural psychology is playing into our interactions and our exchanges with each other, and even how we're understanding each other. Kamala Harris is getting a pushback because the Democrats keep selling her as a black woman, right? They just need to sell her as who she is. And I think they've already hurt themselves sort of placating Kamala Harris as a black woman. So let me know what you guys think. I think that, Kamala Harris, she still has a chance because she does have those two sides. The Asian and the black. And so she is going to get some black women because there are a lot of black women that are looking at her like, I don't see anything wrong with her. She seems like she's really nice. And here's the thing. When I look at a person, like, if you remove any of the political stuff from Kamala Harris, she does seem like she's a genuinely nice person. She seems like, she, has conviction, when she feels empowered, right? And I think that is the one thing about people like Kamala Harris is, when you beat them up, if they get to a position of power, they're going to be empowered. They're going to be empowered. So that's my take. I think that the whole playing Kamala Harris as a black woman using the race card needs to be abandoned immediately if the Democrats think that they're even going to have a chance against Trump with the Kamala Harris thing. I think that, the sexism, possibly the racism, again, with the Trump base, some of the people, not all of them, people really need to comprehend, okay? I love my people who follow me, but please comprehend because I use very choice words and I need you to understand conditional phrases, non-definitive phrases. So when I say some of them, I do not mean all of them, but y'all know, some of y'all know, because y'all know that bigot white person that's so pro-Trump. And he's not just pro-Trump because he thinks that Trump is going to economically empower him. They're pro-Trump because they think, based off of the people that Trump has gravitated to him and who are on the mic, dominant voices on some of these platforms, that those are the types of people that Trump, that is the type of mindset that Trump has as well. Even though I've never known Trump as a racist, I don't think he really projects racism, even though, again, you never know what people are doing behind closed door. So anyways, you guys have a wonderful week, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.